Hi AJ, I want to bring awareness to people that may be going through this. I just ended my 7-year marriage with my now ex-husband. The divorce certificate came out the day after our anniversary. My ex-husband met me during my vacation in the UK in 2014. I was 28 and he was 42. He fell in love with me and asked me for my hand in marriage after we'd been friends for a while. We got married in 2015 once our families confirmed with those close to us that we weren't dating any other people, and we began our marriage while we both lived in different countries. It wasn't love for me in the beginning, but the fact that he was older and I felt he had seen it all and wanted to settle, and there was some kind of security. He wasn't a young guy who would hurt me. I believed I would grow to love him in our marriage. 3 months into our marriage, he came from the UK to visit for 10 days. This is a man whom I trusted so much that even if I was told he was cheating, I would run and tell him, and he would convince me there was nothing as such. Back to his visit. I had never eavesdropped on his conversations until one night. He was on a call in the living room around 11:30 and I was in the bedroom when I heard, "I love you too," which caught my attention. I drew a bit closer to listen, and there was a lady in the UK he was busily chatting with, and I saw his hands in his pockets, pressing on his balls. Then I snatched his phone and queried the lady. She screamed out my name and said in local language, "Sir, Woody Agrobedu." I was shocked she knew me. Then he took his phone back and apologized to the lady. So I called to complain to my pastor, who had then traveled to the US, and he said he would deal with the issue upon his return. The next day after the confrontation, I knew my ex would call the lady again. So I put my phone on flight mode on record and put it on a charge near his seat. Then I left home. He asked me how long I'll be gone, and I replied an hour. While I listened to the recording, he called the woman 10 minutes after I had left. He kept apologizing and reassuring her with the words, "I love you more than her. She used juju on me. And that's why I cannot love you fully. When she's naked, she doesn't attract me as you do. When I have sex with her, I cannot go the second round as I do with you. She's a bitter person because she doesn't get much love from me as you do. The marriage was a mistake, so leave your husband, and I'm in the process of leaving her so the two of us can be together." That's when I knew she was a married woman. I could only hear my husband's voice and not her responses, and I was curious as to what the woman said that merited such a response. I kept the recordings to myself and didn't utter a word to him. One night while he slept, I grabbed his phone to see any information I could get about the woman. I viewed their WhatsApp messages and saw nude pictures and videos of this lady wearing her wedding band and fingering herself. In another video, she was showing her pregnant belly and announced the baby was his. As I looked through their messages, I realized that her husband also lived in Ghana as well. So when he returns to Ghana, the lady and my husband lived together as a couple. All this while, my pastor still hadn't returned. So I took it upon myself and left the house. I didn't want the marriage anymore. He begged his family and he prayed and he asked some pastors to intervene. And then the final conclusion was that the distance between us was causing him to cheat. So she's saying her story to sort of give people a bit of a heads up that certain things may not be as rosy as it seems, pun intended. But ladies, let me get your opinion on this, and I'll start with you, Olivia. Her expressing her deep regrets about going into a marriage and now being, years later, having been served her divorce papers and describing this whole scenario to her. Do you think, as she ended with, that distance may have played a part in this marriage breaking down?
Yes and no.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more shifted towards the no, because if you love somebody and you respect them, you shouldn't use distance as an excuse to cheat. Because bottom line of every relationship is trust, fidelity, love, communication, and one last thing, money. So he had no right to do what he did. He shouldn't be using it as an excuse. What beats my imagination is she went through all the stress, right, to get hold of that information. Had she not eavesdropped, she would never have known that this guy was doing this to her. And to add insult to injury, she caught him He was holding onto his whatever, his assets, and he had no ounce of regret, no ounce of, he wasn't even sorry.
No.
He rather picked up the phone from the floor
To apologize
and
to her.
apologized to the other lady. And for me, that is disrespect.
Yes.
And still conversations going back and forth, and he had the effrontery to also say that, oh, he doesn't find her attractive enough, yada, 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 brought her down. So my question is, why in heaven's name is he now calling pastors to beg? Is he now saying he wants the marriage? Because he's gotten somebody else pregnant. The marriage bed shall not be defiled. And he's blatantly done that. So I'm wondering, why is he in the marriage with you? Then again, some men will do anything and sweet talk other women into sleeping with them and having extramarital affairs. But bottom line, if you love somebody, you do not do things like this to them. And for me, I honestly, God does not hate the divorcee, but he hates divorce. And in a clear case like this, for me, I think that there's so many red flags here. Thankfully, you don't have any children with him. And you took the right decision and you decided to serve him the divorce papers. He was crying for it. He wanted it. He was on the phone telling this other woman he cannot wait for you to divorce him. So you've served him divorce papers. So my question is, what's your biggie? So going back to what I was saying about the fact that distance could play some role. Having said that, I can understand if, you miss your wife, she's so far away, and maybe somebody came around and you got carried away and you're just having a chat, and maybe emotionally you sort of disconnected because there was somebody there.
They are living together in the UK.
Exactly, but not sexually, not to that extent. The reason why I say that is because I'm coming from a family whereby my mom and my dad had that distance. She was here and he was there. And so one thing led to the other, and he also cheated on my mom. Today, he married this other woman, and well, he's dead and everything. But having said that, the distance played a vital role in breaking my mom and dad apart. Then again, it all depends on the individual, and if you love somebody enough, you would not do that to them.
Absolutely.
You can't convince me whatsoever. I mean, I took some time off. Like, I had to travel and my husband had to be on his own. You can't convince me that, okay, because we were apart for the longest time, I should go out cheating, or he should also go out cheating. You should understand what the vows meant to you the day that you said, I do, to your partner. It's not a matter of investing into a ceremony. Marriage is big deal, and I'm so happy for you. Don't have any regrets. Don't look back. You've divorced him, done, dusted. Have your life, and don't give up on love.
Absolutely. Now let me come to Rosie. The man is in the UK. His girlfriend, is in the UK. She has a husband here. He has a wife here. It's a messy situation. Your thoughts about it?
Olivia has addressed quite a bit.
Yes.
All I'll say is that the distance played a role in the beginning because it didn't give them enough time to even know each other, to even know whether they liked each other before making the decision. Number two, why would she think that because he was about 40, he was ideal to be a husband? You see, the very foundation of the marriage, the reason why they got together was flawed from the beginning. It's like you think that, oh, it's only little boys that can break hearts. Hello? Trust me, they are grown-up men who even break hearts after they are dead. When their wives found out that they have like 5, 6 babies after their funeral, and they are showing up, after funeral rites, wanting a part of the cake. Exactly. So old age does not guarantee security. That is one. So you don't know yourselves. That's where the distance played in. So you didn't know who you were going to get married to. You just popped in because he looked okay on paper. He looked all right, and he was about 40-something. And you were able to trust him enough that you said that even if someone had told you that he was cheating, you could come back to him, and no matter what he said, you would believe him over that person. You see, when you trust people completely, they know. They're able to tell. And let me go to the very tail end. That is why he is begging to still be with her. Because he knows that, look, she found this out in the first year of their marriage. They are breaking up after 7 years. So he knows that this is one woman who can take
A lot.
quote unquote my BS.
Yeah.
You understand? So he's taking a piss and he's just, going along with it. You understand? And for the whole mess, look, that man and that other woman who make a life in the UK, they're actually two peas in a pod. They are alike.
Yes.
Both of them are just selfish people who are with very good husbands or very good spouses that they both don't deserve. And then they are excited about being naughty with each other, playing with each other. As for the voice recording that he recorded, look, listen, men will tell another woman anything so long as they're in their pants.
Yeah.
The fact that he wasn't aware that the lady was recording was the reason why he said all those things to that extent. It is wrong on all levels, because whether in front of me or behind me, you need to show me that respect.
Absolutely.
You need to show me that love, that trust. That I'm your wife. You need to show me that respect. You understand? But my take is that when she found out that the man was cheating, for me, that's the part that really hurt me the most. When he collected the phone from her to apologize to the other woman,
and not his wife.
for me, that worried me more than the conversation that
Ensued afterwards.
that quote unquote you were not supposed to have heard that you heard. Because that means that not only had he disrespected you, but right in front of the other person.
He has no regard for you.
He has absolutely no regard for you, and he's talking to the other person, rather apologizing to the other person, treating the other person right. Then there's a big problem.
Absolutely.
There's a huge problem that needs to be
Absolutely.
addressed.
Absolutely.
And like Olivia said, there are no kids. There's nothing tying. You already cry. He's away. So most of the time, cry maybe in a year. Tentatively, your marriage is like 1 month in a year, because you get to born like 1 month in a year. So people are not going to question whether you are married or not before they even see that you are divorced, right? It's
Yeah.
like 2-3 years. So you don't have to even deal with the stigma of being divorced as it is. So I would think that this is definitely not for you. The marriage, from the onset, it was too young to go through this kind of trauma. And you have gone through for 7 years, and I believe it's still going on, because men who are like that,
Will never
it's
stop.
very difficult for them to change, because
Yeah.
habits are formed over time. Maybe if he was 20, maybe at 25, 26, he grew up and be mature. But he's grown up with it. So he's not like 40 plus. My dear, he ain't changing now. He ain't changing ever.
Ever.
So it's a decision you have to make. And luckily, you've been bold enough to make the right decision, so stick to it.
Preach it. Preach it. Marie Rose. Now, your entire opinion about this particular story, is it a situation of distance? Is the man someone who is absolutely inconsiderate? Is it a situation where she left at the right point, or she probably shouldn't have married him in the first place?
It's a big question, because I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, one lecturer of mine who used to define marriage is for two mature people. It's not about age, it's maturity. Somebody can be Methuselah, 1,000 years, and might not be mature.
Absolutely.
The person must be mature. Two mature people who come together, and then you decide to have a life or become one item. And so, like Rosie said, it was a mistake in the first place for her to have thought that, oh, this is a 42-year-old man, so he is mature. He is not. Number two, I also think that as much as divorce is not something God likes, but sometimes it has to happen. Looking at this marriage, God himself, when he created, when we look in the Holy Scriptures, we see that God himself, when he created man, he was alone. But he said it was not good for man to be alone. That is the reason why he made him a helpmate. So a helpmate was supposed to be around him or to be with him. Sometimes circumstances beyond our control compels married couples to be apart from time to time. But then I think that when she met him at the age of 28 and he was in UK, and she decided that she was going to go along because the guy was in love with her. Of course, the Bible says that the man should love. So he was in love with her, and she thought that she would love later and all that kind of thing. But if you look at this whole thing, was it an agreement that they were going to marry for her to stay here for 7 years before she joins him? What kind of marriage would that be? That is not a marriage, like she said. They will be together, their marriage in a year maybe will be 1 month or whatever. So Usually when somebody is out there and he wants to come and marry, then it means that the person is really in a good stead over there who can easily come and take you. And even when you look at immigration papers, most immigration papers consider spousal immigration stuff. So whenever it is immediate family, they will process your papers very fast for you because they see the need and importance of family being together. Family is supposed to be together, not apart. So you've married 7 years, you are apart. And I don't know how often the man comes around and there's no mention of children. Probably that's the reason why you still don't even had children because you don't even get to see the person.
Absolutely.
So yes, on paper you are married, but in real sense, I don't think it was even a real marriage. It's happened to so many people who've been married and they've stayed here for many, many years and the man never comes, or after about 20 years, he'll tell you, okay, find another person and marry. We have stories like that. It's unfortunate. So yes, it's good that she's been able to define what is good for her. She's moved on. She's not a bad person. It's a situation. It was a bad situation. She's been able to address it early. I think for 7 years to her age, it will be what, 35 years. She still has some time and she can still go on with her life. So as unpleasant as it sounds, I think she's just done the right thing for her because, of course, she was not really even in love with her. And I don't know, she didn't even mention anything, whether the love grew or whatever. So it's a very unfortunate situation. Sometimes people find themselves in situations like that, or tia broche, because the guy is in abroad, or the guy is yes. It's not only the age. The age, because the person is abroad, so you say yes, and hoping that, please, if you want to get into marriage, make sure you are getting somebody that you love, that he loves you, that both of you can make sacrifices. If all these things were well spelled out and you really got to know yourself, well, he won't sit out there having fun with another woman. And like it was rightly said earlier by my two sisters, that he even had the impudence to apologize to the other woman who is not the wife. It is not acceptable in any way.
Absolutely.
Because if anything, he should have gone on his knees and begged you or apologized to you because you are the one that he has offended. You are the one everybody knows that you are legally married to him. He owes you that allegiance. He owes you that love. He owes you every respect. You know, so for him to go out there apologizing to the other lady doesn't make any sense.
Absolutely.
You know, so I think, yeah, she should just go on with her life and enjoy her life, and I pray that God will open the door and give her a man she so deserves.
Amen.
A man who loves her.
That.
Yes,
Amen.
to enjoy a proper marriage life. Yes.
Well, dear lady, you did the right thing according to my sisters, and I totally believe in that. You did the right thing. You cut your losses, you've moved on, and a better one will come your way.